Emily thought her life was flawless, a loving husband, David, and a home full of happiness. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. David had become distant, staying late at work and avoiding Emily's touch. Her instincts whispered something was wrong, but she silenced them, unwilling to face the possibility of betrayal. One day, Emily stumbled upon a receipt from a luxurious hotel hidden in David's car. The date matched the night he'd claimed to be working late. Her hands trembled as she realized she couldn't ignore the signs any longer. Desperate for answers, she followed him one evening, leading her to a secluded restaurant. Hidden in the shadows, Emily's world shattered as she saw David laughing intimately with a mysterious woman. But something about the woman felt off. Emily didn't know that this affair would be unlike anything she could have imagined, an affair that would soon spiral into a nightmare. Emily couldn't shake the image of David with the woman. She decided to confront him, but knew she needed proof. With trembling hands, she hired a private investigator to uncover the truth. Days felt like years until the investigator handed her photos. David with the same woman at hotels, parks, and even at their favorite cafe. Emily was heartbroken, but determined to find out who this woman was. The investigator dug deeper and revealed her name, Sophia. But there was more. Sophia had a criminal past, fraud, manipulation, and a trail of broken lives. Furious and afraid, Emily confronted David. At first, he denied everything, but when she showed him the evidence, his facade crumbled. "It's not what you think," he whispered. "Sophia is complicated." His words only enraged Emily more. Feeling betrayed and confused, Emily reached out to Sophia directly. She wanted answers, not realizing she was walking straight into a dangerous trap. Sophia invited Emily to meet her alone, promising to explain everything. Emily agreed, driven by a mix of anger and curiosity. But as she walked into the dimly lit bar where Sophia waited, she felt a chill run down her spine. Sophia's smile was more sinister than apologetic. "David didn't tell you everything, did he?" Sophia said, leaning in close. "There's something you need to know, something deadly." Emily's heart raced as Sophia's words echoed in her mind. She wanted to leave, but curiosity held her in place. Sophia leaned closer, her voice cold and calculated. "David isn't the man you think he is," she began. "He didn't just cheat on you, he lied about everything." Emily froze. "What do you mean?" Sophia smirked and slid a small envelope across the table. Inside were photographs, David and Sophia together, but in places Emily didn't recognize. Exotic locations, expensive yachts, and parties that screamed luxury. It made no sense. David worked an average corporate job. "He's not just your husband, Emily," Sophia said with a chilling tone. "He's a con man. Everything you have, every penny he's earned, it's all been stolen. And I was his partner before you came into the picture." Emily's blood ran cold. "This can't be true. David isn't like that." "Oh, he's very good at playing the devoted husband," Sophia sneered. "But he betrayed me too. He took the money we stole together and started his perfect little life with you." Emily's mind raced with disbelief and anger. "If this is true, why are you telling me now?" Sophia's expression darkened. "Because he crossed me, Emily. And when someone crosses me, there are consequences." Before Emily could process Sophia's words, the woman leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper. "You need to ask him about Ethan." "Ethan? Who's Ethan?" Sophia smirked, stood up and dropped her final bombshell. "Ask your husband how he got rid of his last partner, and whether you're next." Emily sat in stunned silence, gripping the envelope. Her perfect world was crumbling into chaos, and the man she had loved for years was at the center of it. Emily stormed into the house, her heart pounding with fear and fury. David was in the living room, casually sipping a drink as if nothing had happened. The sight of his calm demeanor ignited her rage. "Who is Ethan?" she demanded, throwing the envelope of photos onto the table. David's face turned pale. He glanced at the photos, then at Emily, his mask of composure slipping. "Where did you get these?" he asked, his voice low and unsteady. "That doesn't matter. Who is Ethan, David?" she shouted. "And what have you been hiding from me?" David rubbed his face, avoiding her eyes. "It's not what you think." "Stop lying," Emily screamed. "Sophia told me everything about your stolen money, your lies, and your betrayal. How could you do this to me? To us?" David finally looked at her, his expression a mix of guilt and desperation. "Emily, I never meant for you to find out like this. I wanted to protect you." "Protect me?" she spat. "From what? From your crimes? From the truth about who you really are?" David sighed heavily, sitting down as though the weight of his secrets had finally crushed him. "Ethan was my former business partner and Sophia's brother." Emily froze, stunned by the revelation. Her brother? What does he have to do with this? David hesitated, then continued, his voice trembling. "Ethan and I worked together, but he got greedy. He wanted a bigger share of the money we stole. Things got heated, and one night during an argument, he fell." "Fell?" Emily repeated, her voice shaking. "It was an accident," David insisted. "We were on a cliffside and he lost his footing. I tried to save him, but it was too late. He didn't survive." Emily stared at him, horrified. "And you just covered it up? You never told anyone?" David grabbed her hands desperately. "I was scared, Emily. If the truth came out, I'd lose everything. I thought I could leave that life behind. Start fresh with you. I never wanted you to get involved in this." Tears streamed down Emily's face. But now I am involved. Sophia knows, and she's not going to let this go. She told me she wants revenge, David. She's dangerous." David's jaw clenched. "She's bluffing. She wouldn't dare." But before he could finish, the sound of shattering glass came from the kitchen. Both of them turned in horror as the house descended into silence. "She's already here," Emily whispered, her voice trembling with fear. The tension in the room was suffocating as David and Emily stared toward the darkened kitchen. The sound of slow, deliberate footsteps echoed through the silence, sending chills down Emily's spine. "Sophia," David called out, his voice steady but laced with fear. "Whatever you're planning, it doesn't have to end this way." Sophia stepped into view, holding a gleaming knife in her hand. Her face was a mask of cold fury. "Oh, but it does, David. You stole from me. You took everything, my money, my brother, and my life. Now I'm here to return the favor." Emily stepped in front of David, her voice shaking. "Please, Sophia, you don't have to do this. We can find another way to settle this." Sophia's eyes softened momentarily as she looked at Emily. "You're innocent in all this, Emily. I didn't want you to get hurt, but you chose to stay with him, and that makes you part of the problem." David took a cautious step forward. "Sophia, enough. Let Emily go. This is between you and me." Sophia let out a bitter laugh. "You think I'm letting you off that easily? After what you did to Ethan? You didn't just kill my brother, you killed my family, my future, and now I'm taking everything from you." In a blur of motion, Sophia lunged at David. He dodged, grabbing a nearby lamp to defend himself. The two struggled, knocking over furniture as Emily screamed, begging them to stop. Sophia's strength was fueled by rage, but David managed to push her back. The knife flew out of her hand, skidding across the floor toward Emily. "Emily, grab it!" David shouted. Emily hesitated, torn between fear and survival. She picked up the knife, her hands trembling as she aimed it at Sophia. "Don't make me do this," Emily begged, her voice cracking. Sophia smirked, taking a step toward her. "You don't have it in you." In that moment, David tackled Sophia to the ground. Emily panicked and dropped the knife, her heart pounding as the struggle continued. Suddenly there was a loud crack. David had struck Sophia's head against the floor. Sophia went limp. The room fell silent except for Emily's sobs. "She's unconscious," David said, breathing heavily. "We need to call the police." Emily shook her head. "And say what? That my husband is a con man, and the woman he betrayed tried to kill him? We'll lose everything, David." David looked at Emily, his expression filled with guilt and despair. "I'll confess. I'll take the blame for everything. You don't deserve to suffer for my mistakes." But before they could act, Sophia stirred, her eyes fluttering open. With one last burst of energy, she grabbed the knife Emily had dropped and lunged at David. A scream tore through the room as Emily grabbed a heavy vase and struck Sophia from behind. Sophia collapsed for good this time, blood pooling beneath her. David stared in shock. "Emily, you—" Emily dropped the vase, trembling. "She left me no choice." The police arrived shortly after, finding Sophia dead, and the shattered remnants of Emily and David's marriage. David confessed to his crimes and was taken into custody. Emily stood in the ruins of their home, haunted by the man she once loved and the nightmare that had unfolded.